Hello everybody, this is a quick shout out to an awesome charity event that's taking place at the end of February. The Mythos Busters team are hosting a charity stream on February the 27th, and they will be raising money for Doctors Without Borders, or Médecins Sans Frontières. So it's going to be an awesome day, and it's really awesome to be able to support such a fantastic charity. Go to the Mythos Busters website, mythosbusters.com, check out more of the details, and I look forward to hearing from you on the day. Thank you, and see you soon. Hello everybody, and welcome to the channel. Out of ammo, out of time. I'm your host as always, Krabby Terror 8, and here we are in episode 25 of season 2 of the Investigator Games with everybody's favorite rich bastard, Preston Fairmont. Yes, and for those of you new to the channel, I welcome you. Welcome. What is the Investigator Games? It's like the Hunger Games. I throw these poor hapless investigators into a scenario, true solo, with their starter deck, at least in the first season, in the Gathering, and see how they go. And depending on how they go, they end up in a league table like this one. Now, this one has the carryover points from season 1, and if you haven't seen season 1, I would urge you to go ahead and have a look at that first, at least for Preston, so you can see how he went in season 1 before we move into season 2. And yes, we can see that particularly some of those fighters who can leverage some efficiencies, like Roland with his finding clues when he defeats an enemy, or indeed like Leo, who's a good fighter, but also he can, like Leo, yes, he's a good fighter, but also he can bring on board Leo DeLuca. The two Leos can really make a big difference in the Midnight Masks. Now, yes, and then we go all the way down to poor old Calvin and others at the bottom. So there you go. So by the time we finish season 3 in the Devourer Below, one of these investigators will be crowned in glory, and the others will hang their heads in shame. So quite a while before we get there. We're only halfway through the second season, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get through them all. So we'll see how we go. And now, spoilers, if you are new to Arkham Horror, the card game, if you are new to the Midnight Masks, I would urge you to go and play it first, or seek out introductory videos. I'm assuming you know how to play, so there we go. I would also like to say that I've just recently completed an in-depth analysis of the Midnight Masks, and indeed I've done that for the Gathering too, which covers lore and story, gameplay, you name it, every aspect of the Midnight Masks, and I would urge you to have a look at that. It's had a very positive response, and I'm really pleased with the feedback I've gotten on that. So if you would like to know a bit more about the Midnight Masks, I would very much urge you to go and have a look at that as well. So anyway, enough about all of that. Let's talk about Preston generally. Now, back in the Gathering, I went into his starter deck in some detail. I won't be doing that today. I'll just cover what I've upgraded. If you want to know more about his cards in detail from that perspective, again, go back to the first video. Here, though, just to remind myself and just sort of cover off Preston Fairmont, he's obviously Rogue. He is the Millionaire. He is also Silver Twilight traded, which obviously for the Circle Undone is quite important. Not so much for other campaigns, but for that one, yes. So he is a member of the Silver Twilight. Now, if we just look at his stat line, we can immediately see that Preston is a little bit different to other investigators. His stat line is 11111 across the board, which means that he has some challenges. And I didn't like playing Preston at first, but he's now become one of my favorite investigators. And that's because I was sort of playing him not all wrong, but playing him in the wrong way. And I'll talk about that when we look at how I've upgraded his deck, because I've played him in the Circle Undone. I've been playing two-hander with Silas, and he really is a fantastic, inflexible investigator. Now, a couple of things. He does start with his family inheritance as a permanent asset out, what happens is that you can move all the resources from this to your card pool. You can do that. When your turn begins, put 4 resources. So there's 4 resources that pop up on family inheritance now. If they're still there by the end of the turn, you discard them again. So they're kind of, you either use them, spend them, transfer them. So there's some strategy involved in that. I better put them on here already, the 4. So yes, so that's part of his shtick, if you like. Now, he has here, anytime you gain 1 or more resources from a card effect, place them on family inheritance instead of in your card pool. Okay, so if you gain any resources, they go on family inheritance, which means that they would then disappear at the end of the turn. So there's kind of an impetus to spend. His Elder Sign effect is 0, but you may spend 2 resources to automatically succeed instead, which, for Preston is no big deal. So that's that plus 0 is sort of neither here nor there. He can spend his way out of most things, which makes him quite fun, actually. From a story perspective, it's quite fun to see him spend his way out of things and imagine how he might have done that. Taking on some kind of terrible monster and spending his way out of evading it. How does he do that? Does he bribe somebody to sort of distract the monster while he hides? I don't know, but anyway, it's quite fun to think about it. My money, my legacy, my problem. Let me handle it my own way. He certainly is unique in that way. He starts with a nice 7/7 across both stats. He has taken a mental trauma because of his weakness, which he didn't manage to deal with in the last one. So it wasn't that he took a mental trauma from the Ghoul Priest or something like that. So that's Preston Fairmont in a nutshell. So if we have a look at his just flip him over and just have a look at the reverse side. His standard deck size. He takes rogue cards as you would expect, 0 to 5. Survivor cards 0 to 2. Neutral cards 0 to 5. So he's a survivor rogue sort of hybrid, which makes sense. And no illicit cards. So for some reason you can't take any illicit cards in the Preston Fairmont deck, which means from a rogue perspective that essentially means none of the usual rogue weapons and things like that. So that's something to be aware of. But he can take things like the fire axe and things like that. But it does restrict what he can take from a rogue perspective. Preston Fairmont never thought much about where his family's money came from. All he knew was that he had plenty, and he took great advantage of it whenever possible. His father seemed troubled at times and tried to explain about his grandfather's business and the demands of something called the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight, but Preston never paid any mind. Then his father died in a mysterious car accident, and Preston's family fortune has since become his responsibility. Now, Carl Sanford, president of the Silver Twilight Lodge, wants to meet with Preston personally. Perhaps for the first time, Preston has begun to really think about where his family's money came from. ... There we go. So there's a bit of background on Preston. Now, like I said, everybody starts with their starter decks, Fantasy Flight Games starter decks. Now, they're never ideal, and that's because they're sort of assuming you have the one base set, core set, and then of course you've got the Circle Undone campaign set. So it does kind of restrict what can be put into the deck, which is a little bit frustrating with Preston, because if you have the right cards, Preston can do really well, but if you don't, it can be really quite challenging. Now, if you like, the way that the Fantasy Flight Games starter set for Preston is orientated as kind of a big money approach. So the idea that Preston spends his way out of problems, and so there were cards like Money Talks, and Well Connected, and those sorts of cards which are supposed to kind of keep your flow of money going. Now, what's happened is that people have actually not lent into that so much. I mean, there may be big money Preston decks, but I'm not sure they're as successful as, say, a big money Jenny deck, for example. So where a lot of people go, and where I've gone, is what they call a dark horse Preston deck, which works really, really quite well. And you can see that I've actually tried to move towards that with the limited number of experience points that I had, at least a step that way, with what I've done here with Preston. Now, if I was building Preston from scratch, I wouldn't have the cards that I have here, but it's the way that it is. So what you do with a Dark Horse Preston deck is you don't try to get lots of money. What you do is you have Dark Horse, which essentially then means you're running at a 2-2-2-2-2, and then you use your family inheritance to spend what you need. And then you sort of go from there. You then try as much as you can to build from that. So you would have people like Lola Santiago. You have things like Streetwise, which I have here. So what you do is you build up and things like Intel Report. So you build up a deck that allows you to do lots of things with testless clues, but also gives you sort of boosts to your stats, permanent boosts to your stats. And that works really quite well. It's a bit combo-y. You've got to have the right cards. Obviously, you need to get certain allies onto the deck, and you need to have Dark Horse on the deck. But as long as those things are on the deck, it actually works remarkably well in terms of getting clues, particularly. So a sort of Preston Fairmont with things like Intel Report and Lola Santiago is pretty good. It's a pretty good replacement for a Seeker and can do a pretty good job at picking up clues. At least that was what I found in my experience. So thinking about the Midnight Masks and the way that it is, I did my best to kind of move to that place. So there were some things that I did. Now, I did add in another Leo DeLuca because in the Midnight Masks, every turn counts. So Leo DeLuca is particularly important. I could have gone for Lola Santiago, but it just made more sense to have two Leo DeLucas in the first instance. Then the other thing I put in, which was absolutely important, is Streetwise, because of course Streetwise allows you to spend your way through to evasion and clue getting at the very least. So in a Preston deck, it's really important that you have that, because if you're getting your 4 resources, you can and plus you get an extra resource each time. You're able to at least discover clues or evade fairly easily. So yeah, and then the other thing I put in was the 2 Dark Horse. So I've started to move towards that. It's not ideal. I would still have extra things in there, like I would have liked to have added in Intel Report, but I couldn't. I would have liked to have added in Lola Santiago, but that's going to have to wait, possibly to the Devourer below. So the things I took out was a Stray Cat. I wasn't interested in that, and Well Connected, because Well Connected sort of, again, I'm not really leaning into that approach. So the idea is to really kind of have very little money, all on family inheritance, which of course then helps with the Fire Axe. Now, I haven't put the Fire Axe in either. Again, I didn't have enough to upgrade to that. So I'm still relying a bit on the baseball bat as much as anything to get me through. So my fighting ability is a little bit limited, but I'm hoping that I can pick up clues. I can do things like, Victoria Devereaux, Ruth Turner, Herman Collins, those sorts of people. It's going to be more the Masked Hunter and obviously those sorts of more fighty sorts of Wolfman Drew, those sorts of fighty cultists who are going to be a bit more challenging. I couldn't upgrade everything, but I upgraded as much as I could. Don't know, what do you think? Interested to get your thoughts on that. So there we go. And like I said, Preston is now one of my favourite investigators. I really do enjoy playing him, and he's a lot of fun to play. So yes, as you can see, he's there at the house, just in the garden, just looking at the house and thinking probably what a hovel the place is. I did have a chat to him in the trailer. Now, Miskatonic Trailer Hire has been very generous with their trailer hire. However, Preston came with his own trailer, which is much larger and rather more luxurious. But anyway, so we had a chat beforehand, and as usual, he's fairly laid back and uninterested in the whole thing. So he's not particularly interested in how things will go, but he thinks it's all a bit of fun anyway. So we will see how he goes. Now, before we start, let's just read out the agenda and the act deck. I know we all know them, but just to get things going. So, Agenda 1A, Predator or Prey. Lita seems convinced of a conspiracy within the city of Arkham. She believes that a secret cult serves the ghouls that live in the crypts beneath the city, and that several of the cult's prominent members are scattered throughout Arkham. As you begin searching for them, you can't shake the feeling that you, too, are being hunted. Action: resign. You don't want to risk it taking too long, so you head to safety with the information that you have gathered. You head for safety. Actually, that's not quite right, is it? Anyone who has a variable, I don't think you head to safety at all. And Act 1A, Uncovering the Conspiracy. You have one night to find the members of this cult and unveil their plan. The more members of the cult you can find and interrogate before midnight, the better. Action: spend 2 clues per investigator to draw the top card of the cultist deck. Find as many unique cultists' enemies as you can and add them to the victory display. If there are 6 unique cultist enemies in the victory display, advance. Note, not all 6 of them are in the cultist deck. Now, it's only about 2 weeks ago that I actually ever bothered to look at the other side of Act 1A, because I'd never succeeded. And I was just amazed to find there's all this extra information on the back that I'd never known about. It's a bit of a pity that it's hidden on the back of Act 1A, but there you go. So yes, I think we're all ready to start in episode 25 of the Investigator Games Season 2 with Preston Fairmont. Okie dokie, here we are. So yes, 3 actions at the house. We've got our 4 resources on the family inheritance. Let's draw our 5 cards. I'll just shuffle it up. Now, what do we want? What do we want? What do we want? It's the Midnight Masks. So Leo DeLuca is absolutely important that we get him. Dark Horse is also pretty important as well. So we can draw Leo DeLuca and Dark Horse in our first draw. I'll be pretty happy. The other thing that I would really like is some kind of weapon, either a knife or preferably the baseball bat, just so that I've got a way to fight if I need to as well. I think that's about all. So let's go ahead and draw. Just draw up our 5 cards and let's see how we go. And what do we get? Okay, well, there's Dark Horse. We've got 2 Dark Horses, in fact. I mean, these are good cards, Flashlight and Elusive and things, but no Leo. So I'm going to be very aggressive about this, and I'm going to throw in 4 cards. I'm just going to keep Dark Horse, and we'll draw 4 more. 1, nope, emergency cash. 2, nope. 3, nope. 4. Well, baseball bat, there we go. So no Leo DeLuca, which is really, really frustrating. No Leo DeLuca. But we have got the baseball bat. We've also got Hard Knocks and Dig Deep, which allow us to basically spend our way out of various things. So we've got that as well. So that's a pretty good start. I'm just really annoyed that we don't have Leo DeLuca. So hopefully he will pop up soon, I'm hoping. Okay, so we've got lots of stuff here and lots of stuff to spend, which is good. So I think the thing is we want to get rid of our money and we want to have Dark Horse on the table. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 3. And I am going to bring out Dark Horse. So there we go. So basically we've got no resources. We get +1 on everything. So that's our first action. Our second action is we are going to... So that was the first action. Second action, we are going to spend 2. And we'll bring out the baseball bat because we want to make sure we can fight. So at the moment, you see, this is already how it works. We're a 1 fight base, but with Dark Horse, that's 2. And then when we use the baseball bat, we're up to 4. So immediately, we're fighting at 4. So you can see very quickly, if you work this way, things can be good. The only problem is that when you get a resource, if there's an enemy on you, you don't want it because you want the Dark Horse. So that's the only kind of problem there. But there are ways to deal with that as well, which we will cover. So first action was to bring out Dark Horse. Second action was to bring out the baseball bat. Now normally I would get a resource and draw a card, but actually third action I'm going to spend 2. That was our second action. Third action, I'm going to spend 2. And which one of these? I am going to bring out, Dig Deep. So that allows us to boost our willpower if we need to. So I'm banking on, we may need to do that if we pull something from the deck, and then we can bring out Hard Knocks next time, and then we're pretty much set up. Then we've then got ability to basically boost our fight, boost our willpower, boost our evasion. We can do that in all kinds of ways, and then we can move from there. So yeah, pretty good from that perspective. I just wish we had Leo DeLuca. So that was our third action. So there we go. So that was very much a setup phase. We first action, we brought out Dark Horse for 3. Second action, we brought out the baseball bat for 2. And then we spent 2 of our family inheritance and brought out Dig Deep. So we've exhausted our money, which means we're now at a plus. We're now at 2-2-2-2 rather than 1-1-1-1, and so we're in a much better position already. So next time we can start getting some clues now that we're set up. But I do want to get Hard Knocks out as well, because that allows us to boost our fight should we need to. And again, it just exhausts our money and things like that. Or maybe we wait until we want to spend the money. So yeah, okay. So that's the end of our go. So we move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of. This was at the end of your turn, so this money goes. There we go. We move into upkeep. Here we go. We got our lodge debts. So this is the only problem with lodge debts is you need to spend 10 to get rid of it. Otherwise, you suffer a mental trauma. I mean, carrying the odd mental trauma is not the end of the world, but otherwise it just sits in our hand unless we can afford to spend 10. And in this case, we would have 4, 7, 8. So we could get rid of lodge debts if we wanted to. The problem is it would waste a whole go for us to do that. So it's a question of whether we want to do that or not. Okay, so we move into the Mythos phase. The first Doom is down. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And it has Mysterious Chanting. No cultist enemies. Search the encounter deck and discard for a cultist enemy and draw it. Okay, so we will go ahead and do that. We will search. Obviously get an Acolyte out. We don't want Wizard of the Order. There we go. Okay, where should we put the Acolyte? Well, we don't want the Acolyte hanging around, so we'll probably put the Acolyte in Rivertown with the Doom on. We'll go and deal with the Acolyte shortly. Okay. So that's the end of the Mythos phase, so we'll move into the Investigation phase. 3 actions onto Preston. Yes, and 4 resources here. Okay. Yep. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? What do we do here? Well, we want to get this clue. It's a 2 shroud, and at the moment we're a 1, but we can spend up from that. So what we'll do is we can spend 2 resources to get +3. So we will spend 2 resources. Yeah, so we will. So that means that gives us +3. So that gives us a 3, a 4, a 5. So we're now playing at a 5 versus a 2. So we're 3 up. So we'll investigate. Chaos bag gives us. Dear, an auto fail. Okay, we will do that again. So we will. We are going at a. We'll spend 2 again, I think. Or do we need to? We're a 2. We're only a 2, aren't we? So we will spend. Is it 2 resources? Yep. So we'll spend 2 more resources. So we get 3, 5. 5 versus 2, isn't it? 3, 4, 5. Yep. 5 versus 2. Chaos bag gives us a skull, which is -1. So we get that clue. So we get the clue there. That's great. We've got 1 action left. I don't want to move, obviously, because we will take a point of damage. I don't want to take any resources, obviously. So what I might do is I might just draw a card and we get the knife. Okay. So that's our 3 actions. So that was a little bit frustrating. That's not how I expected things to go, but never does. We failed to investigate, then we succeeded to investigate, and then we drew a card. So next time we will move up to the old Rivertown, and we will get rid of that acolyte with the baseball bat. Okay, so there we go. Bit of a slow start for Preston. Enemy phase, the enemy just sits there. So we move into upkeep, and here he is, Leo DeLuca. Fantastic. That's going to make things so much better. I'm so glad he's arrived. Better late than never, Leo. That will make a big difference. So that's brilliant. Really, really happy about that. But before we rejoice too much, we're back into the Mythos phase. We're 2 doom down. Let's see what the encounter deck has, and it has another acolyte. I'm going to put that acolyte in the graveyard, and I'll tell you why. I never used to do this before, but since doing the Midnight Mask analysis, I realized that this nexus here of your house, Rivertown, and the graveyard is a great way to start the Midnight Masks, because you can get a lot of clues at a relatively low shroud. And also, once you're in the graveyard, if you've got enough cards, of course, you may get Herman Collins, which means that you can then instantly get one of the cultists. So I'm planning to do it that way. Okay, so that's the Mythos phase. We will move into the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Preston. Obviously, that should have come off, shouldn't it? But it doesn't matter. I wasn't going to use it. So there's 4 there. Now, okay. So what I'm going to do is, first action, I'm going to play Emergency Cash, which gives me 3 more resources. Yep. First action. So second action, we are going to bring out Leo. So we'll spend the 4 here. Hello. 1 of these. 2 of these, sorry. 5, 6. So bring out Leo DeLuca. So that was our second action, but now we have 2 more actions left. So then we will move to Rivertown. And for our final action, we're going to bash this acolyte around the head. Now we've got no resources, so we are running at a 2 fight with Dark Horse. So we're running at a 2 fight. I don't have Hard Knocks out, which is a little annoying, but that's all right because we can. So we are a 1, 2. Baseball bat gives us +2, so that's 4 versus 3. And then I'll throw in the knife, so that's a 5 versus a 3. So we're 2 up. Chaos bat gives us a -1, so we succeed. And we kill the acolyte. And we don't lose our baseball bat, so that's good. Okay, and that was our 4th action. So there we go. That was much better. So what did we do? We brought out emergency cash for our 1st action. We then brought out Leo DeLuca for our 2nd action. We then moved for our 3rd action, and then we killed the acolyte for our 4th action. So next time we can pop over to the graveyard, and we'll bring out Hard Knocks, and then we can pop over to the graveyard and we can dispatch with this other acolyte, and we can get some clues. We'll get the clue here at Rivertown as well. So that's our plan for the next one. Okay, so we move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies. Well, there is an enemy, but he's just standing there in the graveyard doing what he's doing. Having, it's like he's drinking a latte or something. We're spilling it. Oh dear. And we will move into the upkeep phase and we get paranoia. Discard all of your resources. Well, here you go. That doesn't, there we go. Now, I didn't choose this. This is just the random treachery that, weakness that came out, which for Preston is probably the best one. It's just paranoia, discard your resources. These have gone as well. I should have gotten rid of these last time. And we don't mind getting rid of all our resources because we don't care. Okay, so we will move into the Mythos phase. There are now 3 Doom down. We're halfway through. No cultists out yet. We're a bit of a slow start here. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And the encounter deck has Crypt Chill. So we may lose something here, which is sort of annoying. But anyway, where's the test 4? Now we are a... what are we? Yeah, we are a... we're a 2. Fortunately, we've got no resources to boost that. So I think we're just going to have to wear losing something, which will be dig deep because we don't want to lose Leo. We don't want to lose our baseball bat. I don't think you can lose... I guess you could lose family inheritance, but you wouldn't want to. You don't want to lose streetwise. You could, but you wouldn't. You don't want to use Dark Horse, so yeah, it's going to have to be that. So let's go ahead and... yep, we get a tablet, which is if you fail, place one of your clues on your location. Ah, dear. Okay, that's fine. So Crypt Chill, we will get rid of Dig Deep. That is gone. Okay. All right. All right, that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do anything about that. So we move into the investigation phase. 4 resources on to family inheritance. We're here at Rivertown with 4 actions. Okay. First action, we're going to spend 2. I'm going to bring out Hard Knocks. Yep. Second action, we're going to investigate. Now, this is a 1, and we are a 2. A 1 versus a 2, so a 1 up. Do we want to spend... we could, but it might be good to just try and... We're 1 up, so let's see how we go. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, which I think we're right. -X, yep, so we succeed. And we get the clue. That was our second action. Third action, we will go again. And we get a -1, so we succeed again. Wow, that's great. We've got 1 action left, so obviously we're not going to pop into the graveyard at the moment. So we've had both of our weaknesses, so I'm just going to draw a card and we get the flashlight, which will be handy for some of these other more difficult locations. Okay, so there we go. So that was okay, apart from obviously the Crypt Chill, but we managed to... We played Hard Knocks so we can fight. We get rid of those resources. We what else did we do? We then got both of the clues at Rivertown because we dropped 1 thanks to Crypt Chill, and then we drew a card. So that's the end of our go. So next time we'll get ourselves in the graveyard. We've got 2 clues, so we could also maybe bring out, maybe the first thing we should do is bring out a cultist. But we probably do want to deal with this acolyte in the graveyard anyway, and we don't want to go back to the graveyard later, so it might be worthwhile doing that first. Enemy phase, no enemies to speak of. Upkeep, we get cunning. Yeah, this is an example of this worked more in big money. If you've got 5 or more resources, we don't. So it's just an extra evasion or intellect pip. All right, so let's move into the Mythos phase. 5 Doom now. Let's see what the Chaos Bag, the encounter deck has for us. Obscuring Fog on your location. Well, that's fine. We don't care because we've that has now been used up, so no big deal. All right, let's move in to the investigation phase. 4 actions on to Preston. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to move into the graveyard. But because we move into the graveyard, we need to oh yeah, we don't have dig deep anymore, do we? Okay, we're going to go ahead and test 3. Now we are a 1 because we've got a resource here, and there's not really much else we can do about that because there's no way we can. Well, actually, I'm doing this all wrong. I think. Am I? No. Could I have spent this resource? Well, I could have spent 2 resources to give myself a fake. No, that's for a skill test. You can't do that. No, so I don't think there's any way we could have dealt. Well, it was just going to have to do it. So we're it's a 3, and we're a 1. Chaos Bag, not another tablet, please. Oh, you're kidding. Place 1 of your clues. Oh, boy, that's the 2nd time we've had a tablet. And take 2 horror. Okay. That was really annoying. Anyway, not to worry. That was our first action. Second action, we are going to fight the acolyte. So we are going to spend a resource. We're going to spend our resource, which gives us a +1 fight. So we're now, because we've got no resources, we are now a 2, 3, 5. We're a 5 versus a 3. We're a 5 versus a 3. Do we make that a 6 versus a 3? No, let's go ahead and do 5 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a -2. So we succeed and we kill the acolyte. We keep the baseball bat. So there we go. That was our second action. Okay. Third action, we will investigate with the graveyard. So it's a 1, and we are playing at a base 2. But we can spend 2 resources and bump that by 3, thanks to Streetwise. So that gives us a 3, 4, 5. 5 versus a 1. Chaos Bag gives us a -3, so we get the clue again. And we will do that again. We'll spend up our 2 resources because we're going to lose them anyway. And Chaos Bag gives us a fail. Man, 2 tablets and 2 auto fails. This game is really being rough in terms of the Chaos Bag. But never mind. So there we go. That was we got into the graveyard, but unfortunately we took some horror to do that. But we got ourselves into the graveyard. And we lost a clue down at the graveyard. Actually, should we have lost that clue at the graveyard? Or I think it's when you moved after you entered the graveyard. Yeah. So we then lost a clue. We then defeated the acolyte, and then we went ahead and got 2 clues. So we're still at 2 clues, but hopefully we will get them next time. It's been a very kind of frustrating game from that perspective. Lots of bad draws at the worst time. But anyway, and we will have the Masked Hunter on us before too long, so we've just got to be aware of that as well. Okay, so we will move into the enemy phase. No enemies to speak of, so we move into upkeep and we get money talks. Yeah, which isn't much chop, I guess. It can be a little bit, I suppose, if we have some money. But anyway, okay. Yep. So we move into the Mythos phase. There are now 5 dooms, so the Masked Hunter will be on us next time. The encounter deck gives us a Hunting Night Gaunt. Really rough. Anyway, so yeah, we'll move into the investigation phase. 4 actions onto poor old Preston. He's doing his best, but really very challenging at the moment. Okay, so we got this Hunting Night Gaunt. We can what are we going to do? I'm going to 4 here. I think the best thing to do for us is to fight the Hunting Night Gaunt. I think that's better than trying to evade. Although we could boost up to evade, but I'd rather kill it rather than having it run around. So, first action, we will fight. So we will spend a resource on Hard Knocks. So that gives us a base of 1. We're going to fight with our baseball bat, but that gives us a base of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 versus 3. I'm going to make that 6 versus 3. 6 versus 3. That's right, isn't it? 1. With Dark Horses 2. We spent here 4, and then the baseball bat 6. 6 versus 3. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, so that's 2 points of damage. That's our first action. Second action, we are going to do that again. So we are base of 2, 4, 5, 6. 6 versus 3. Chaos Bag gives us a 0, so we kill the Hunting Night Gaunt. Now we got a... Oh, hold on. We got a skull, didn't we? So that would have gone. So actually, we would have been fighting at a 2, 3 versus 3. 3 versus 3. So we still would have succeeded, but we would have only done a point of damage. Ah, boy. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do it again. So we're a 1, a 2, a 3. A 3 versus a 3. I don't think there's anything else. Let's go ahead. This is our third action. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so we don't succeed. So for our final action, I'm going to try and evade. So we're a 1, 2, 3. I can make that a 3 with Cunning. So that gives us a 3 versus a 1, but all negative modifiers are negative. We get a -1, which is -2. So I think that's fine. 1, 2, 3 minus 2 is 1. So we managed to evade the Night Gaunt. Wow, okay. All right, that was all our actions. So that didn't go very well because we we managed to get the Night Gaunt down to 3, but then we had to evade the Night Gaunt. Oh dear, things are not looking good. So we move into the enemy phase, no enemies to speak of. So we move into the upkeep. We get Leather Coat, and the Hunting Night Gaunt is back on us. But we've got no weapon now, so things are not looking good. We move into the Mythos phase. Here we go. So the Doom come off here. We will flip that, and we get the. Oh boy, this is not good. This is not good. Oh dear. Yep. So we will bring out the. Time is running short. Of course, we can always resign, I guess, but we haven't got any victory points at all. Unfortunately, I was hoping the graveyard would be an easy place to get victory points, but not to be. All right, let's see what the encounter deck has. Locked door. Most clues, and that's indeed here. So that's another impediment now. So that makes the graveyard not a great place. Okay, so let's move into the investigation phase. 4 actions onto poor hapless Preston. So here we are. We've got no weapons, but we've got 4 actions, and we've got some resources. Okay, so I think the first thing that we do is let's get rid of this Hunting Night Gaunt, because at least then we're sort of not so... We've not got 2 on us, and we might as well get rid of it first, I would have thought. Because otherwise, yeah, that's the best thing to do. So the first action is we're going to fight the Hunting Night Gaunt. We're going to punch the Hunting Night Gaunt. So we will spend that. We'll spend that to give us. So that gives us a 1, a 2, a 3. So a 3 versus a 3. I can make that a 4 versus a 3. I can make that a 5 versus a 3. So 5 versus 3. Better make it 6 versus 3. Yep, 6 versus 3. Okay, so we're a 6 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a skull. So that's fine, because there are no doom, and we kill the Hunting Night Gaunt. Okay, so that's one thing. All right, first action. Second action, we're going to evade the hunter, because we're going to be doing 1 point of damage. So let's look to evade him. So we are a 1. We're a 2. We can spend 2 to make that with Streetwise an extra 3. So that's a 1, a 2, a 5. 5 versus 2. 5 versus 2. Chaos Bag gives us a -2, so we managed to evade the Mars Hunter. Where have you gone, Preston? So we managed to evade the Mars Hunter, thank goodness. And then obviously for our next action, we're going to get the hell out of Rivertown. And then I think for our final action, we want to know where we need to go next. So I'm going to spend 2 clues and bring out a cultist. See who we get. Where are the cultists? Here they are. We'll shuffle them up. And we bring out... The first cultist is Victoria Devereaux. Perfect. Oh yes, I know Victoria very well. She gives me all sorts of lovely things, and I give her all sorts of lovely money. So there you go, Victoria Devereaux. We will go and parley with her. That will be no problem at all. So there we go. That was wow. Okay, that was. So what did we do? We fought the Hunting Night Gaunt and killed it. We then evaded the Mars Hunter. We then moved to Rivertown, and then we brought out Victoria Devereaux. So we'll get ourselves up to Northside next time. We'll easily be able to spend our way out of that one and get our first victory point. And then probably what we might do is try and stay at Northside and buy 2 more clues from there. Yeah, because now there's a locked door here at the graveyard, it's a much less attractive place than it was before. So there we go. That's the end of our go. So we still don't have any victory points and any cultists, but hopefully we can get there. So we move into the enemy phase. The enemy is exhausted. We move into upkeep. We get unexpected courage. That's a nice card to get. So we move into the mythos phase. We are now, there's already one doom down on the second round. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. Hello. Encounter deck has Wings of Darkness. Well, we're already there, so there's no point of, well, we could, well, we're at 1. If we spend 1, that would give us 2. That would give us 3. 3 versus 4. It's literally not where it's not. We'll just take the damage and the horror. So we go ahead and we fail. So we take, we'll put the damage and the horror onto Leo, and we stay where we are. Okay, no big problem. All right, so we will move into the good old investigation phase. 4 actions onto Preston. 4 resources in the good old family inheritance. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend 2 actions. We'll move to Miskatonic University, and then we will move up to Northside. Victoria Devereux says, "Oh, hello, Preston. Oh, hello. Oh, yes, that's a lovely, lovely skull you've got there. Oh, how much would you like for it? 5 million, maybe? Oh, yes, that would be lovely, lovely." Okay, so let's spend the money. So then that was 2 actions. For our third action, we will spend the 5 resources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Victoria Devereux goes into the victory display, and the crowd goes wild. Yes, and we get our first victory point. My goodness. So we've got 1 action left. We're going to stay here at Northside because we are going to gain 2 clues. So I think we just go ahead and we draw a card and we get Survival Instinct. Okay, so that sort of went according to plan. We just basically got ourselves up to Northside and we basically spent some money to get Victoria Devereux on board. Easy. So we'll move into the enemy phase. The Mars Hunter moves to Rivertown. There we go. Searching for us but not finding us. Then we will move into upkeep, and we get Cunning Distraction. Okay, that could be handy. Got lots of evasion here now. Yeah, and I guess we get Herman Collins. We've got plenty of things to throw away. We can't throw away Lodge Debts, though. We're just going to have to wear the mental trauma. Okay, so we will move into the Mythos phase. 2 Doom down. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. You're kidding. This is... We did throw away the last Wings of Darkness, didn't we? Yes. We get another Wings of Darkness. Oh, boy. This is not one we want to fail this time, though. So we can spend 1. Yep, to give us a 2. That gives us a 3. 3 evasion. We can then make that a 4 evasion. We can make that a 5 evasion. We can make that a 7. 7 versus 4. Chaos Bag gives us -3. Thank goodness we did that. 7. We did get that right, didn't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Yep. So we succeed, and we don't end up back at Rivertown with the Mars Hunter. That would have been very unfortunate. Okay, so we move into the investigation phase. 4 resources here. Okay, so 4 actions. First action, we are going to... How many do we need? We're going to take a resource. Yep. Second action, we're going to spend all our resources. And we're going to get 2 clues. You can only do this once a game. We're going to get the 2 clues. Third action, I'm going to spend the 2 clues, so no point drawing them. And we'll get our next cultist out, who is Shuffle Wolfman Drew. Okay. He's hard for us to deal with, to be honest. I'm not. Yeah, without a baseball bat or a knife or something. So for our we've got one action left, and I just realised we've kind of snookered ourselves without really. I didn't think about that, did I? Well, we're going to have to deal with Wolfman True, at least to evade him, if nothing else. So with our final action, I'll draw a card. We get another Leo DeLuca, which we don't need, but anyway. Okay, so there we go. So we basically, for our 4 actions, we got a resource. We then spent 5 resources. We got 2 clues from that. For our 3rd action, we brought out Wolfman Drew. I was hoping for either Herman Collins or Ruth Turner or someone else, but it wasn't to be. And then we drew a card. So next time, we're going to have to move to Wolfman Drew. Probably then just evade Wolfman Drew and move. Keep moving. We've got to try and get 2 more clues, though. So either we get some clues at downtown and East Town. That's probably the thing to do. And then we bring out another. Yeah, it's getting a bit fraught from that perspective. Okay. Enemy phase. Obviously, the Mars Hunter moves to Miskatonic University. Upkeep phase, we get a knife. Okay. All right. So we have a way to fight Wolfman Drew. So maybe we can. Change my mind now. Okay. We'll just have to think it through. But before then, it's the 3rd Mythos phase. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And it has Obscuring Fog. Attach it to your location. So that makes that, well, I wasn't going to hang around there anyway. So we that kind of cuts that one off for us. Okay, so we will move into the investigation phase. There are 4 actions on to Preston. Now, and there's 4 resources here. Man, the fire axe would be so much better, wouldn't it? Anyway. So what I think we do is we can bring out the knife. Then we can move. But the problem is when he attacks, we've got to get away from the Mars Hunter. So we're going to have to move here anyway. So we've got 2 choices. We could evade. Maybe what we do is we move. We evade. We bring out the knife and we get a free attack. And then we can finish off Wolfman Drew. Because the problem is if he attacks, he just heals. And then we can finish him off next time with the knife. I think that's probably the best course of action with the way things are. Yes, so first action, I'm going to move. I don't want to move too far because then, but we'll move to here to downtown. We can heal 3 horror here. That's actually quite nice. Anyway, so that was our first action. Our second action is we're going to evade Wolfman Drew. So we're going to spend the 1 here. We'll spend 2. So that gives us +3. So that gives us a 3, 4, 5. 5 evade. Let's make it a 6. I want to do this. So 6 versus 2. So we're 4 up. Chaos Bag gives us a -1. So we evade Wolfman Drew. That was our second action. For our third action, we will spend 1 and we'll bring out the knife. And for our final action, we will go ahead and get a free hit onto Wolfman Drew. Now he is a 4 and we are a 1. We are a 2. This isn't going to work, is it? Because the best we can do is a 3. So there's no point fighting him because it would be a 3 versus a 4. So that's really not going to work. I'm going to do something a little bit unusual here. I'm actually going to transfer this resource to us. Now, the reason for that is, for our final action, is that we will end up with 2 resources and 4 next time, which means we can then... oh no, that's... Well, then that means that we then have... We can up our fight by at least 2 each time. Yeah, so it just gives us an extra opportunity to fight Wolfman Drew, because we're going to have to finish him off next time, and he's a fight of 4, which means if we 2, 3, 4, 5. Not going to be great. But anyway, we've got a better chance, and then we can throw it. So yeah, I think that's the way that we do it. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Or do we move away? Should we have moved away from Wolfman Drew? Because that's the other thing we could do. I'm just trying to think. If we've got six resources, we can 3 times we can say we can add 2 fight. So we'll be 2 fight, 3, 4. Hold on. 2, 3. So 2 there. 1 with the dark horse. So that's 3. 1 with Preston, 4, 5. Will be 5 fight versus 4. Be a 5 versus 4 just for spending the 2. So we'll only be 1 up. And we've got to do that. We'd have to do that twice. And then we would have to throw the knife. It's really, really unlikely. The problem is, though, if we move here to East Town, then the Masked Hunter is only 2 away from East Town and 3 away, so he will move back to Rivertown. So we kind of have to stay where we are. So we might get something fight-like, a bit like another Unexpected Courage, which might chip things. Otherwise, I think it might be another evasion. So what I'm going to do is, do I keep the money? I keep the money and see how we go. Okay, so we move into the enemy phase. The Masked Hunter moves up to north side. We move into, we get Unexpected Courage. Perfect. So Wolfman Drew is on us. Okay, I'm feeling a bit more positive about this now. We've basically got to try and get rid of Wolfman Drew in 1 hit, in 1 turn, and I think we can do it. Okay, so that was the upkeep phase. We move into the Mythos phase. We're halfway through the final agenda. It's really looking like we'll be lucky to get 2 cultists at this rate. Let's see what the encounter deck has. Hunting Shadow. You must either spend a clue or take 2 damage. Well, we can't spend a clue, so we take 2 damage. That's fine. Okay. All right, we'll move into the investigation phase. 4 actions on to Preston. 4 actions, 4 resources onto the family inheritance. So here we go. So what we could do is we could evade and move on, but I think we should at least try and fight. So what I'm going to do is I am going to spend, we're going to fight Wolfman Drew. So I'm going to spend 2. So that gives us 2. Then we are 2 with Dark Horse. So that's 4. And then if we're using the knife, that's a 5. So that's a 5 all up. And then I think we use Unexpected Courage, which gives us a 7. A 7 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us an Elder Sign, which we don't need. I don't want to spend the 2 resources because we're up. So we succeed and we do 1 point of damage. Pity we didn't throw the knife, but we need the knife. So that's the first action. That was our first action. Second action, we're going to go ahead again and fight. So we're going to spend 2 again. So that gives us 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to make it a 6. I'm going to make it a 6. A 6 on a 4. So we're 2 up. Chaos bag gives us a 0. Whew. And we do it again. Now, he's not retaliated, is he? No. Phew. Third action. Sorry, that was our second action. So we've had 2 actions. Third action, we are going to fight again, but this time we're going to throw the knife and we're going to spend this resource on fight. So what does that give us? That gives us a 1, Dark Horse 2, Preston 3, 5. It's only a 5, isn't it? Oh boy. It was 1 resource, wasn't it? 1 fight. If only Streetwise was fight. 1 fight. 2 fight. 3 fight. 5. 5 versus 4. Chaos bag gives us an Elder Sign. And we do 2 more points of damage. And Wolfman Drew goes down. Ah! Wow. And the crowd goes wild on that one. What a fantastic round. My goodness. That was so lucky. And then we're going to get the hell out of downtown and move to East Town. Oh my goodness. I can't believe we managed that. I cannot believe we managed that. That was incredible. I don't know whether we should keep going. I suppose it's possible we can get 2 more clues. You know, who knows? We can get down to South Side. We get this clue, go to South Side, and then maybe we can get Ruth Turner or somebody. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This has been one roller coaster ride. So there we go. So we attacked and succeeded against Wolfman Drew. We then attacked and succeeded against Wolfman Drew. Then we threw our knife and we attacked and succeeded again. We did the 4 points of damage. So we got our victory point and moved away before the Mouse Hunter. Enemy phase, Mouse Hunter moves on. Hey, Wolfman, where have you gone? What? He's gone. And then we move into upkeep and we get cunning. Okay. So we move into the Mythos phase, 5 doom down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. False lead. If you have no clues, we don't. False lead gains surge. So we'll try it again. Mysterious chanting. Oh no. 2 doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Okay. All right. That changes everything. Okay. Let's have a look. 4 actions onto Preston. So now this will so unless we kill the Mass Hunter this time, this will flip. So we've got 4 actions basically to finish the game. So we've got no clues. We can't. It's not like we can go to the graveyard and pick up those 2 clues because there's a locked door there. So we would have to move, get rid of the locked door, and then our time would be over. We could. I'm thinking though we could move and spend 2 actions at Miskatonic University, getting a victory point. The bells will toll, but we will have an extra victory point. But I think that's the only other thing. And then it's a 4. We've got some. The other thing is to get rid of lodged debts. Because we've got 5, but we'd have to get another 5 resources, and we don't have a way of doing that. Is it worth trying to get those clues for a victory point? It probably is. This is the Investigator game, so it's not about campaign success, it's about most victory points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 2 actions to move to Miskatonic University. Then we're going to spend an action investigating, so it's a 4, and we can spend 2 to give ourselves a +3. So that gives us a 3, a 4, a 5, 5 on 4, 6 on 4, 7 on 4. So we're a 7 on a 4. Chaos Bag, it gives us that -2. Place 1 doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Okay, so we get a clue. Final action, we will get this final clue, hopefully. So all out here, so we might as well spend everything. So if we can spend 2 resources there. So that gives us +3, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's it. 6. Yes. So that's a 6 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, which is a -3. No, and we don't get it. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, we just missed. Okay, upkeep phase, we get a flashlight. Yep, and mythos phase, there we go. Unfortunately, the 12 bells ring across the town. It is midnight. There's no time left to investigate the city. You must act based on the information you've collected from the cultists you found. So bells tolled, but we ended up, turn 13, we ended up with 2 victory points. We were just going for our 3rd. Unfortunately, we just didn't quite make it. But not bad going for Preston. Unfortunately, in the early part of the game, things started slow. We were stymied very early in the game, getting into the graveyard. A whole lot of stuff happened, and we got some really bad rolls. We got a couple of tablets, a couple of auto fails, which really, really stymied things and really, really kind of put a dampener on our tempo. But that's the way it goes. Not too bad for old Preston. Unfortunately, he will take another mental trauma because of lodged debts. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Now, next time in the Investigator Games, which I should have looked at this before I went ahead, but next time we will be going through the Midnight Masks with everybody's favourite sportswoman, Rita Young. Yes, and we will watch as she races around Arkham. And hopefully we will see how she goes. And I hope she does very well. But until that time, I'm Krabby Terror 8. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.